Alright guys, welcome back. Now it's been about 8 months or so since I dropped the install video on the top display head unit, but I never actually covered the entire system. That's why in this video we're going to deep dive into the system, go over all the settings, all the apps, go over things that I do like and things that I don't like. I do want to mention that I only use this head unit for Apple Carplay. Now there are a ton of different things you can use this for as well, but that's just my main use. Now I haven't gone through all the apps and all the settings, only a little bit when I first installed it, but this is going to be a raw video. We're going to go through all the apps and settings together, so let's go and get started. Alright, so one of the first things we're going to test is we're going to test to see how long it takes for the unit to turn on and how long it takes to connect to my phone. So I have my phone here, and then I'm going to turn the car off. Alright, so I gave it some time. Now I'm going to turn the key once to turn the unit on, and then we're going to see how long it takes to connect to my phone. The unit is on now, and now it goes through Z-Link in order to connect to CarPlay, and then now it's going to think to go through to my phone. Once you see a little green circle here, it's when it's going to actually connect to the phone. Alright, cool. So now I have it automatically set to CarPlay when it turns on, so that way, I can use CarPlay right away whenever I turn the truck on. Now, like I said, this is Apple CarPlay, but we'll go ahead and go to the home screen. So this is a home screen that you're going to get. Up top, you do have like a little menu bar, which you do have like a home button here, so you can return home. You have the time. You also have this little hotspot thing for like locations. If you pull it down, you get little buttons for Wi-Fi, for the volume, the display, stuff like that. And it also does show like your other apps that you do have open here. And then you have, of course, your volume button, so you can control the volume quickly. You just slide it left to right. So also, as you can see, that the unit is all touchscreen. There are no buttons on here, so everything you do has to be controlled either through the steering wheel or through the screen itself. So, and then you have this little box with the X on here, and what this does is that this controls the brightness, so it does get brighter, and you can have it dim. So I have mine all the way dim just because I like it like that, but it's not really super dim, but it's also pretty bright. And then you have this other button which pretty much pulls up all the applications that you do have, kind of like on your phone, so you can close those out if you're not using them, stuff like that. And then you have a return button at the end to return to whatever screen that you were at previously. You'll see this little thing here, this little orange thing that I'm moving. This is for the Z-Link or the CarPlay. It's quickly, you can just click it, it goes back to CarPlay, or if you want to go back to the home page, this is the home page. So you can move this around too as well if it's in the way. So let's go ahead and go through the apps on this unit first. By default, there are some that came on the unit itself already, but I did add, I think, like HBO and Netflix on here. So let's go ahead and go through all the applications. So you have your first one here, which is Car Assistant. Now this, I believe, is stuff where you can uninstall an app or install an app, but I'm not going to go too deep into this. I never really messed with it, and I don't see a reason why you would want to delete certain apps on here. So we're going to go back. Then you have your audio settings. So this is going to be like your equalizer. This is probably going to be a popular one that people want to know about, but this is how it looks. So you can control each one manually just by moving it around. I don't know too much about this. I'm not a huge audio guy either, so my main one is that I just use these standard defaults that you see on here, which is flat, standard, rock, pop, stuff like that. So I just click pop, and then I just let it be. I might change it a little bit once I upgrade speakers, which I do have, which will be on a new video, but for now, you can do whatever you want with this. You can change things around, make it sound like how you want, but I just use the preset one that I have on here. And then you can also control where the sound comes from, left to right, front to back, stuff like that. Pretty much like a standard radio that you do have. So put mine back in the middle. There we go. Alright, so let's go back. Then you have, you can do a calendar on here as well as if you choose to. You also have Google Chrome, so you do have to connect to either a hotspot on your phone, or you can connect to whatever Wi-Fi that you see on the network. Then you can change your clock here. You can change, you have alarms, timer, stopwatch, stuff like that. So it's, just like a phone or a tablet, I guess. Then you can check your email on here if you choose to do so. You have your photo gallery here. I don't have any photos on here, so you're not gonna be able to see anything. Then you have your settings here, which I'll go through here in a little bit, but let's go through all the apps first. Then you have your Play Store or your Google Play Store, where you can download whatever app you want to. That's on Google Play Store, and you can put it onto this unit here. Then you have Google Maps if you choose to use Google Maps just strictly on the unit itself by either a SIM card, or you can use a hotspot from your phone. Then of course you have YouTube, so you can watch YouTube on here as you drive or whatever you choose to do so. Then you have your Bluetooth here, so this is where you will connect your phone initially on the first startup. You can go through here, go through all the settings and stuff like that. Then we go to the next page. Then you have your Bluetooth music, which is of course just like all the music you have on your phone will play through here, just like the stock radio does. Then you have your CPU fan, so you can turn on the fan if it gets too hot, stuff like that. You have a file manager if you choose to put files on this unit here. You can, do whatever here. Then you have a float ball. So this float ball is very similar to the assistive touch on the iPhone. So if you click it, you can do little quick stuff like the fan, home page, volume, and stuff like that. But I don't really choose to use that, so I keep it off. And then you have your radio. I don't have an antenna, so I don't use a radio. Plus, I don't really listen to the radio very much. So, but you do have that option. Then you have your aux cord if you choose to use the aux cord to play music. Then you have your 360 view. So I only have a reverse camera, which is the factory camera. I don't have any other cameras around, but if you did, I'm sure you could change it around and you could view other stuff too as well. Then you also have the front view camera. So if you choose, or if you do have a front view camera installed, you can use this as well to view just the front camera. And if you want to change it to the back, you can too, like that. So it's a little camera icon on the side, so you can choose both front or back camera. Then you have your phone here. So if you have like your contacts or whatever into the system, you do have it here. And then you have like your Google Assistant. So if you want to use that to do whatever you want to do, you can do that as well. You have voice search, kind of like Siri. You can, search something by talking without having to type anything out. And then you have a GPS test, which I believe I don't have my GPS antenna attached to this unit, so I guess it's not working. But I guess you can do some cool things in here. As well. Then I have HBO Max, obviously just that regular HBO Max application, so you can watch whatever movies if you choose to do so. Plus I have Netflix as well. Then we have Here We Go, which I believe is an app that you have to register for, or if you have it downloaded, I don't know what it is, but I guess you're able to find certain transit stuff, so you have that. Then you have Z-Link, which is the application for CarPlay, or Android CarPlay. You would go there to go to your CarPlay screen. I gotta go back home. Okay, let's go back into the applications. Then you have CarBitLink. I'm honestly not too sure what this is, but you do have to register for this as well. Then the last application you have is Car Info. I never really got into this either. It's original car information, so I guess if the car is on, it can read all this information on your car, but the car is actually off. I don't know if it's going to read it or if it even works, to be honest. Then you have radar settings. I don't know what that is, to be honest, and hybrid, which doesn't really apply to us. So that's pretty much all the applications that come default on the system. Like I said, you can go to Google Play Store and you can download whatever application you do want to install into here. So think of it pretty much as a tablet. If you can download it on an Android tablet, I'm pretty sure that you can download it on here too as well, since it is running Android 12 system. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and jump into the settings. Alright, so now that we're in the settings screen, we'll go through, top to bottom. First one you do is you have car settings here. So you have, your base settings, factory settings, or steering wheel settings. So we'll go through base settings first. Here, you can do a couple of things, or you can change it. You can receive a warning when you're playing a video while driving. I have that turned off, so you can, watch videos, whatever. The key press beep, I don't like to have that on. Whenever you touch the screen, it beeps. Or power on volume limit. If you want to mirror the review camera images, mute during backwards if you want to mute the music as you're reversing. Your fan control settings to whatever temperature you want to turn on. Then you have your home window selection. These are going to be the ones that pop up automatically. I don't have anything selected, so I just cancel. And then you have your Navi prompt mode. I don't know what this is. I don't use a Navi setting on here, but you can do a couple of things on here if you choose to go that route. Then you have your navigation mix ratio. Same thing, I have no clue. Then you have your night brightness control. Either have it off or by headlight or by time. So I have mine by headlight. So if you look at the screen now, it doesn't change. But the reason being is because I have my display on the very dimmest setting. So if I turn it to 100% and I turn my lights on, now you can see the display does get dimmer if I turn my lights on. So let's go and turn it back to the dimmest setting. Then you have like your nighttime brightness. So at nighttime it's either going to be 0% or 100. I have mine at 0 again. Then you have your USB TV out settings. I have no clue what that is. It's probably just if you want to run other display settings hooked up to the radio. Then you have autoplay for it to automatically play. You can have your screenshot button. You can have your external mic configured to the external one or the one that's built into the system. Then you have your radio area where you want to change to whatever country that you're in for the radio. Choose to use the radio antenna. You want to enable Z-Link CarPlay in order for CarPlay to turn on through Z-Link, and then enable EC. So that's the base settings. Now we have the factory settings. So the passcode is going to be 4 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this will get into the factory settings. Now, I'm not going to go crazy into this because there's a lot of things that you can change in here. But I like to leave everything at default because it works for me. If there is something that you do want to change or you don't know where to find it, you can look in here and see if you can, change a couple of things to make it work. Or if there's something that you added and you want to change it, you can go in here. But just some small stuff, you can change the radio area here too. Radio antenna, power, amplify settings. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff in here. And to be honest, I'm just scared to change everything because the radio works as it's supposed to, so I don't want to mess anything up. But you can change like your Bluetooth connection, your canvas type. I mean, there's a lot of different things on here you can change. Touch setting, logo setting, UI setting, stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff in here, so I'm not gonna go crazy, but you do see it here. Let's go back, and then you have your steering wheel settings. Now, everything works as it should. When I plugged it in, the steering wheel controls work, volume, stuff like that. So I don't really go in here. I believe that you can change a couple of things, but the same thing applies. I don't want to mess with it because everything does work, like your volume control. So I'm pressing the steering wheel control now and it is working. So then you have the home application, which this is pretty much, you can change the look of the home screen. If you don't like it, you have this one, or if you want to change it to this first one, it goes to this one. So if you don't like that home screen, you can always change that as well. Then you have your network and internet. So this is where you're going to be if you want to connect to the Wi-Fi. You just got to turn it on. It's going to tell you how much usage you use on Wi-Fi, if you want a hotspot on, also if you want to use a SIM card and what mobile plan you have, stuff like that. And then you can turn on the airplane mode and have the VPN. So then you have your apps and notifications. So these are just like all the applications that you have on the unit itself. You can see all of them, see how much space is taken up and stuff like that. Let's go back home. Then you have your display. So here you can change the brightness level, the same thing like you can from up here. Then if you want to change like your wallpaper to whatever image you have on here, you can change it to that. You can have the screensaver timeout at a certain time, which I don't know why you would want to. And then you have same thing, a screensaver. So let's go back. Then you have your sound volume here. So this is where you can control your media volume if you want to. But there is a quick button up here that you can control the same thing, just quicker. And then default sound notification, you can turn it off or on or to none or whatever it is you have on here. And then the default alarm sound, which is if you have an alarm on here, it will go off. And then you have your storage, which is going to show like, how much space you're using. I'm using 14 gigs of 64. If you want to free up space, you get the storage manager. Tells you how much, each thing is taken up, photos, videos, stuff like that. And then you have your privacy permission account, like if certain apps want to use it, like the microphone or the contacts, it's like pretty much like a permission manager. So if you want certain things to allow it to look at certain things, then you do have it here, or you can turn it off and on. You have your option to show passwords as you type it, like for Google. If you want to hide that, you can. Or the same thing, if you want notifications to come on the lock screen, you have the option to here as well. Same thing for autofill from Google. If you want to Google to remember, your passwords or whatever, you can also turn that on as well. Then you have your location here. These are all the apps that have permission to look at your location. So if you can turn that on or off as well. Then you have security. So these are pretty much, I guess the last update was in 21. You have, find your device on. Pretty much like a phone, if you were to lose it, you can turn it on, turn it off, stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. Then you have whatever accounts are hooked to you, or hooked to this account. So I have obviously my Google hooked to this, so I have that on. And then we have the system. So this is going to tell you like if you want to change the language, the date and time, if you want to back up the system, or you can actually reset the whole thing, or you can update to whatever's like the most latest update for here. So I have Android 12 on this unit, and I believe that's the latest one. I could be wrong, but I don't really know much about Android. And then the last one is going to be about the device. So it tells you the name, the status, like the legal information, like what model you're using, how much RAM it has, which version, stuff like that. So but that's pretty much all the settings on here. So like I said, I strictly only use this for Apple CarPlay. I probably watched a couple of videos, but that was when I was eating in my truck. Other than that, I don't really use it for anything else. Now, I do have stock speakers, and I have not heard a decrease or an increase in sound quality. I believe it sounds the exact same as it does when I had the stock unit, but that it could be also because I am running stock speakers. Now, I will drop another video soon with upgrading my speakers or the components to, I believe the brand is going to be Focal, but I'll drop that video here soon. Hopefully get that installed and see if there was a big difference running that. But a couple of things to mention that I do like about the unit is that I haven't seen any lag in this unit, especially with CarPlay. There's nothing crazy about it. There's no crazy lag. I'm not sitting here waiting for something to like load up. It connects to my phone, I want to say about 95% of the time. There's about 5% times when it does not connect to my phone. That could just be an issue of a connection issue or a Bluetooth. I'm not too sure, but usually for me, what I'll do is I'm either parked already, so I'll turn the car off for a few seconds, turn it back on, give it time to reset, and then it connects to my phone, no problem. Another thing you can do is that you can make a change in the settings, or you can reboot the system and let it rethink, and then it'll do the same thing of turning it off and turning it back on. So this thing is not perfect. Obviously, there will be a couple flaws, but haven't had anything that's a big massive issue to where I feel like I want to get rid of it. It's a pretty big unit, and it's not really attached to anything, so it's like only held on by clips. It doesn't move, there isn't a lot of things that will make it kick out. It does move a little bit, but it does not vibrate when I'm driving. But I feel like if your truck does vibrate a lot, it probably will rattle. It's only popped off once, but that was when I was doing a video and I was off-road, doing whatever, and I hit a big bump and it did pop out. But that's my only concern. The only thing that I really don't like about it. But other than that, I mean, I feel like it's worth it. This is probably the biggest screen you can get for this generation Tacoma from 2005 to 2015. So, but yeah, that's pretty much covers everything. So if you don't see anything on here that I didn't cover and you want to know more about it, or you have a specific question, drop a comment below. I'll answer it, or I'll send you a video or a photo of specifically what you're looking for. But that's pretty much it.